You know what hurts the most? It's not the stranger who stabs you in the back. It's the person you sat with, laughed with, shared your soul with, the one who learned where your scars are, so they could press on them later. And maybe, just maybe, you've been calling that person friend, or worse, family. I remember this moment, clear as day. It wasn't some dramatic betrayal, no big argument, no shouting. It was subtle. I was sharing my excitement about something small, a creative project I'd poured my heart into, the kind of thing that makes you feel alive, like you've finally done something that's yours. And they smiled, tight-lipped, eyes that didn't quite meet mine, and said, "Oh, that's cute. I guess we all need hobbies." And you know what? In that instant, the joy drained right out of me. It felt like someone took a pin and popped this fragile balloon of happiness I'd been carrying. I laughed it off, because what else do you do? I told myself, don't be so sensitive. I replayed it in my head 100 times, trying to convince myself I misunderstood, that they meant well. But here's the thing, your body knows before your mind does. Your gut clenches, your chest tightens, your voice gets smaller, even if you're still smiling on the outside. That wasn't kindness. That wasn't support. That was a put down, dressed up like a compliment. And it's a pattern. When someone secretly hates you, their compliments always come with a twist. The kind of words that look fine on the surface, but leave you feeling smaller, not seen. You walk away questioning yourself, not feeling celebrated. There's a term for this in psychology, passive aggression. But I want to call it what it really is. Betrayal in slow motion. The kind of betrayal that erodes your spirit. One small, sugar-coated jab at a time. Because real friends don't shrink you. They don't lace their words with poison. And the hardest part is, these people are often the ones closest to us, the ones who've learned where our soft spots are, and instead of protecting them, they press on them, gently enough that you almost don't notice. Almost, you deserve more than that. A real friend celebrates your light. A hidden hater dims it with a smile. There was a time I felt invisible in the room with someone I loved. And maybe you know that feeling too. That hollow ache that creeps in when you're sitting right next to someone, but you might as well be miles apart. I'd talk, I'd share a story from my day. I'd let them see pieces of my heart, hoping to connect, hoping they'd see me, hear me, and they'd nod without looking up. Or worse, they'd pick up their phone. Change the subject, glance at the clock. And at first I made excuses for them. They're tired. They're distracted. It's been a long day. I convinced myself that if I just tried harder, spoke softer, made my stories shorter or funnier, they'd lean in. But they didn't. And that's when the truth started to sting. Their silence wasn't about being busy. Their silence was a choice. A way of saying, you don't matter here, without ever speaking the words. The psychology of contempt tells us that people who secretly hate you rarely attack directly. Instead, they distance. They disconnect. They stop meeting your eyes. They don't ask follow-up questions. They don't laugh at your jokes anymore. Contempt shows up in small ways. The sigh, the eye roll, the flat tone. And over time, it chips away at your worth until you start to wonder if maybe you really are boring. Maybe you really don't deserve their attention. But let me tell you something I wish I'd learned sooner. Love leans in. Love puts the phone down. Love makes you feel like your voice matters, even when you're talking about the most ordinary thing. And when someone you care about meets your words with indifference, when their silence drowns out everything you're trying to say, That's not your cue to try harder. That's your cue to pay attention. The people who love you lean in. The ones who hate you lean away and hope you don't notice. I'll never forget the night it happened. We were all sitting around the table, people I considered my closest friends. The mood was light, laughter bouncing off the walls, and I felt safe, like I was with my people. And then, out of nowhere, someone who knew me best, someone I trusted, cracked a joke. I even laughed too, because what else do you do when you're caught off guard? When your pain is turned into entertainment in front of everyone? But inside I felt gutted. Like I'd been stripped bare under the bright lights and everyone was watching. I smiled on the outside, but I felt this deep, searing shame wash over me. And later, sitting alone, I kept replaying that moment over and over, trying to make sense of it. That's what happens when someone secretly hates you. They'll use humor as a weapon, not as a way to bond. They'll take what you've entrusted to them and turn it against you. And if you call them out, they'll laugh and say, "Oh, come on, can't you take a joke? I was just kidding." Psychology calls this covert hostility. When someone uses humor to mask their true feelings of resentment, jealousy, or contempt, it's a way to hurt you without taking responsibility, a way to test how much they can get away with while making you feel like you're the one who's overreacting. And here's the most painful part. Sometimes it's the people closest to us who know exactly where to aim the arrow. They know the softest parts of us, the parts we try to protect, and they choose to pierce them anyway. Let me tell you, love never mocks what you're healing from. Love never turns your scars into the setup for a joke. Anyone who laughs at your pain isn't your people. There was a moment, a really important one, when I finally accomplished something I had been working toward for years. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't about money or fame. It was personal. A victory that mattered deeply to me because it had cost me sleepless nights, self-doubt, and more tears than I'd ever admit. And when that moment came, I was so excited to share it with the people I loved most. But you know what happened? The energy shifted. The calls from them stopped. The texts got shorter. Suddenly, they were too busy to celebrate, too tired, too caught up in their own world. When I brought it up, they'd downplay it. "Oh, that's nice." Or worse, they'd change the subject. And at first, I thought, maybe I'm imagining this. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. But I wasn't. Their distance wasn't random. It was intentional, because my success had touched a nerve. My joy had reminded them of something in themselves they weren't ready to face. Their stuckness, their fears, their unmet dreams. This is one of the hardest signs to see, because we want so badly to believe that the people we love will be happy for us. But psychology teaches us that when people harbor hidden resentment or hate, your success feels like their failure. And instead of leaning in, they pull away. They tell themselves stories to justify it. You've changed. You're full of yourself. But really, it's their discomfort that's grown, not your ego. What I've learned the hard way is this: people who truly love you don't shrink when you rise. They don't go silent when you win. They show up. They clap. They remind you how far you've come. And when someone's first instinct is to withdraw from your joy, to go cold instead of warm, that's not love. It's they show their presence, their solidarity, their support. That's the hate they don't have the courage to say out loud. Pay attention to who claps when you win. Their hands will tell you what their mouth won't. There was a person in my life, someone I trusted, someone I believed, was in my corner. And at first, everything seemed fine. But slowly, over time, the little things started piling up. They'd forget to tell me about opportunities. "Oh, I thought you already knew." They'd leave me out of plans. "Oh, it was last minute. You were probably busy." They'd give advice that sounded helpful on the surface, but always made me second guess myself. "I just don't want you to get your hopes up too high." And at first, I excused it all. I thought, they're human. We all make mistakes. I told myself they meant well, that I was reading too much into it. But something in my gut kept tugging at me. Something in the way I felt after every interaction. Smaller, less sure of myself, more anxious, more tired. That's the thing about subtle sabotage. It's so quiet that you almost don't notice it's happening. It's not loud like a slap. It's soft like a slow leak in a tire. You don't see it right away, but one day you wake up and realize you're completely deflated. Psychology calls this relational aggression. When someone undermines you without ever throwing a direct punch, is the kind of hostility that hides behind concern, that cloaks itself in just being honest or trying to protect you. But the result is always the same. You start to doubt your instincts, question your decisions, and shrink your dreams so they feel safe standing next to you. And here's what makes it so hard. These people aren't obvious enemies. They don't shout their hate from the rooftops. They don't come at you with clear-cut betrayal. They're the ones who know exactly where to press, exactly how to make you feel small without looking like the villain. I learned this the hard way. Love lifts you, it roots for you, it protects your dreams, even the ones that scare you. But hatred hiding behind love, will pull you down gently, quietly, so that by the time you realize what's happening, you're already on your knees. Love lifts. Hatred hidden as love will always pull you down, one small cut at a time. If you're listening to this and your heart hurts, let me tell you what I wish someone had told me sooner. You are not crazy for noticing. You are not wrong for feeling what you feel. Someone else's hidden hate isn't your shame to carry. Your job isn't to shrink so they're comfortable. Your job is to see it and choose yourself anyway. The most dangerous hate is the one that pretends to love you.